In 1656, Ike's ship was navigating the perilous waters off the coast of Australia when it struck a hidden reef, tearing apart the vessel. Of the 193 men aboard, only 75 survived to reach the shore. Desperate for rescue, a small group set out to find help, leaving 68 castaways stranded on the remote coastline. But when rescue ships finally arrived months later, those 68 men had vanished into thin air. No bodies, no signs of struggle, nothing. For nearly 400 years, the disappearance of these men has remained one of the most haunting and baffling mysteries in maritime history. Join us as we dive into this shipwreck and explore chilling theories about what might have happened to these missing souls. The ship Verenigd, often shortened to Veraldra, was a 40-meter-long, 260-ton trading vessel belonging to the Dutch East India Company. In October 1655, the Veraldra departed from the Netherlands bound for Batavia, modern-day Jakarta. Like many ships of the company, it carried a precious cargo of silver, spices, and supplies. The journey was long and treacherous, with crews battling storms, pirates, and unpredictable seas. For months, the ship sailed without incident. Yet the greatest danger on this route wasn't just storms or pirates, it was the western coast of Australia, then known as New Holland, infamous for its shallow reefs and rocky shores. In the dead of night on April 28, 1656, the Veraldra struck a reef roughly 100 kilometers north of modern-day Perth. Jagged rocks and powerful waves tore the ship apart. Of the 193 people on board, only 75 clung to wreckage and made it ashore into the freezing water. Stranded on a desolate, uninhabited stretch of coastline, the survivors salvaged what supplies and treasure they could. But food was scarce, shelter non-existent, and the harsh, unknown land loomed before them. Days passed as they anxiously awaited rescue, but the remote location made discovery unlikely. Captain Aris Jensch, leader of the Veraldra, understood that waiting was a gamble they couldn't afford. A longboat from the wreck had washed ashore, so he selected 7 of his strongest men and set them off on a perilous journey, to sail over 1,400 miles north to Batavia in search of help. Meanwhile, the remaining 68 crew members and passengers stayed behind, clinging to hope. The small boat's voyage was nothing short of miraculous. Battling violent storms, treacherous currents, starvation, and dwindling fresh water, the men endured weeks of hardship. Their bodies grew weak and battered by the elements. Yet, against all odds, they reached Batavia. So weak were they upon arrival that it took days before they could even recount their ordeal. Once recovered, they immediately organized a rescue mission for their stranded comrades. Late in 1656, rescue ships set sail for the Western Australian coast, hoping to find the 68 survivors alive but hungry. Instead, what greeted them was a chilling sight. The survivors' camp abandoned with no signs of life. Fires had long since burned out, personal belongings and tools scattered across the sand, but no men. The rescue party searched the surrounding coastline and called out into the wilderness, but there was no answer. No bodies, no signs of struggle, just an eerie silence, as if the 68 men had simply vanished. What happened to these men remains one of Australia's greatest historical mysteries. The western coast of Australia in the 17th century was unforgiving hot, dry and desolate, with little fresh water or food. The men faced brutal conditions with minimal provisions. Could hunger or thirst have claimed them? If so, why were no bodies ever found? And what about the treasure they had salvaged? None of it was ever recovered. Determined to find answers, the rescue party expanded their search inland, scouring rocky cliffs, dense underbrush, and coastal caves. Despite their efforts, they found no trace of the castaways venturing inland, no graves or remains, no evidence of attack or abduction. It was as if they vanished into the vast wilderness without a trace. In the years that followed, the Dutch launched several more expeditions to find the missing men, all ending in failure. The only remnant left behind was the shipwreck slowly being reclaimed by the sea, the rest lost to mystery. Rumors and theories soon swirled. Some speculated the survivors tried to travel inland for food or water and became lost in the wild. The Australian outback is vast and perilous, filled with wild animals and rough terrain. Any misstep could be fatal. Others wondered if the men tried to escape by makeshift rafts, only to be swallowed by the treacherous Indian Ocean. One of the most intriguing theories suggests the survivors may have integrated with local Aboriginal tribes in the years following their disappearance. Supporting this idea are mysterious clues. In 1875, over 2 centuries later, a British explorer discovered a ring of stones along the very coastline where the castaways had been stranded. Rediscovered in 1938, the formation consisted of 2 adjacent rectangular stone arrangements, reportedly positioned as a pointer, located about 2 miles inland. Some believe these stones were left by the castaways, either as a signal for rescuers or a marker pointing to hidden supplies or treasure. This possible message hints at a deeper story. Adding to the mystery are Spanish silver coins unearthed occasionally in Western Australia. In 1931, Fred and Alastair Edwards found 40 coins dated between 1618 and 1655, including Spanish reales, in sandhills north of Seabird. In 1938, children near the same area found more coins. These discoveries suggest the survivors may have traveled inland and possibly interacted with indigenous populations. If they did integrate into Aboriginal tribes, living out their lives far from European rescue attempts, it would be a remarkable episode of cultural contact. In 1963, the wreck of the Viraldra was finally discovered in shallow waters off Western Australia, but this only deepened the mystery. The treasure salvaged by survivors was never found, and the fate of those 68 men remains unresolved. More than 350 years later, the barren coast of Western Australia still holds its secrets. Somewhere deep within Australia's wilds, or buried beneath shifting sands, lie the answers to what happened to the Viraldra castaways. Until those secrets are uncovered, the mystery will continue to haunt the shores of Western Australia. After all, sometimes the most haunting mysteries are the ones without answers. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the unknown. If you're fascinated by stories of survival, the unexplained, and history's greatest mysteries, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Join us next time as we explore more tales from the farthest corners of the world. Until then, stay safe.